Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today. Now, this week we've been looking at AEW figures from Jazzwares, and this is going to be our final one of the week, in fact, and I decided to end it with pretty much the man who started it all, and that would be Cody Rhodes. Now, in terms of figure collecting, Cody Rhodes is a bit of a controversial one because he's had a lot of figures already in a very small line. We'll talk more about that later on. But the Cody Rhodes we're taking a look at today is from AEW Series 5. This one just came out. I can't necessarily say it's one of my favorites up front. The reason I got it was because I actually bought a case of these figures from Ringside Collectibles, and well, Cody's part of that case, so I got myself another Cody. But is this version of the American Nightmare worth adding to your collection? Well, let's go ahead and take a closer look. So first things first, let's talk about the packaging here, and it's identical to what you've seen throughout every single AEW figure so far. It's a black box with some really nice shiny gold on it, which, as I've been saying this whole week, really makes it stand out, and I think it really does. These look really good in package. They remind me a little bit of the Jakks Pacific Classic Superstars figures, but nowhere near as bulky. The front of the box has a really big window display, so you can get a nice look at what's inside the packaging and what this Cody comes with, and it also has a really nice photo of him. On one side of the box, we've also got a number for the figures because AEW's been numbering all their figures in line, and this one here is from Series 4 and is number 29. The back of the box gives us a really nice photo of Cody wearing this exact outfit that he's got in the toy, as well as a fake signature. And again, one of my favorite things about these figures is that they actually tell you what event this toy is from. Now this figure here is from Fyter Fest 2019, which is when he wrestled Darby Allin. And we already looked at a Darby Allin figure back when we reviewed that entire series of AEW figures. So it's really cool to finally get those two guys together. And I don't know for sure, I can't remember if that figure of Darby Allin was from Fyter Fest or not. If it is, I'm going to make sure to put a note here. But either way now, at least I can kind of more or less reenact that match, because if it's not, Darby's outfit is pretty darn close. It's a really great match. I actually just rewatched it before I did this video, just kind of reacclimate myself with it. Man, I forgot how good that match was. Like, that was, I think, the match that really put Darby Allin on the map. So if you haven't watched a lot of AEW, if you don't know much about who Darby Allin is, I say that's the match to give yourselves a look, because you're going to be blown away by that one. We also get a look at who else is in Series 4 of the Unrivaled AEW figures, and that includes Kenny Omega, who we've also looked at this week, Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy, and Santana and Ortiz. So you might be wondering why I'm not reviewing Santana and Ortiz and Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. Well, I do have them, but for the time being, I'm keeping them in box because I'd like to get those figures signed by the wrestlers one day. So here's my quick review of those figures from how they looked inside the box. I gotta tell you guys, number one pick for that wave would probably be Matt Hardy. I was blown away by that head sculpt. I think the majority of the Mattel WWE Elite versions of Matt Hardy, or really any version that Mattel did of Matt Hardy, there's like one head that's kind of decent. The rest, they don't look that good, so I don't really like the Matt Hardy figures I've ever done. This one has blown them all away by far. That is definitely the Matt Hardy to get. Plus, it comes with Vanguard 1 and a hologram on it. It's perfection. That is the best figure in that entire wave. Santana Ortiz, also very good figures, great outfits, really great accessories. I think with the announcement that AEW is going to be doing 2-packs this year, you should maybe wait about that. If you can't find these two guys, it's not a big deal. There's going to be more versions of them, and likely a 2-pack version. Sammy Guevara is probably the weakest of those four, and maybe the weakest of the bunch, to be honest. I think it's really cool for getting signed because it's his first ever figure, but I think the head sculpt is kind of silly looking. There's definitely going to be better versions of Sammy, so hold off on him if you didn't get him yet. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the rest of AEW Series 4. We are here to take a look at this version of Cody Rhodes. So let's go ahead and take him out of the box and get him into the ring. All right, and here's our Cody Rhodes now out of the packaging, just so you guys can see this. I didn't take this off yet, but as you know, if you've been watching these other AEW figures, typically the figures that have any kind of fabric or even rubber piece on them all have some protective wrapping across them. So that way the figure is kept safe. There's no staining potentially happening here, no paint chipping on the stuff, vice versa. So that's pretty handy, really very nice thing that they do, because really I don't think too many other places do that besides much more high-end companies. And just so you guys can also see, I'm trying to take off some more of that stuff there, and also on the back around his weightlifting belt he has it. So just be careful about that. It's there, right there. And also just want to mention too, as we're going to, I guess, go into this now, you guys can see that Cody does have this fabric shirt here that we're going to talk a little about more in a few moments. But when you do decide to open up the shirt, be very careful. Don't just yank it. You can already see actually threading is kind of coming off here. Make sure to actually grip it in the correct spot by the Velcro and pull it off nice and gently. Otherwise, you have a chance of totally tearing that. And truth be told, that actually happened to me on my Ultimate Edition Macho Man figure. As soon as I finished doing the review, I went to take some photos, then I tried to take the jacket off, and the Velcro came right off. So I was able to luckily get a replacement for it, but just be very careful when you're taking these things off because they're not made the greatest. All right, so I got all those plastic bits off of Cody. Now let's go ahead and take a better look at this figure. Although, first things first, I do want to mention, if you guys are wondering why there's no green screen action in this video, that's because Cody's already got a lot of green action happening on his pants, and I don't want to fight with that. So, sorry guys, no green screen for this episode. So let's start things off here by taking a look at those likenesses and whether or not this actually looks like Cody. And in fact, so this version comes with 2 heads here. This is basically his main accessory it comes with besides the shirt, is having 2 heads. So this head is what we saw with AEW Series 1, and I didn't really like it back then that much. I don't like it still now. I maintain that the biggest problem is not necessarily the sculpt. I think it's actually more the paint job on it. His lips are just kind of overly done, I think. Because I think looking at the eyes, like those look pretty good. I think it's just the lips that still kind of make it look wrong. His lips are just very puffy, too big, a little too pink maybe, a little too purpley. I don't know about it, but I think the paint job is just what's bad about it, because if you look at it from the side, it's not as bad. His lips do look a little pucker, though, because of that paint job. So, yeah, this head sculpt here, that spare one, that one's not really worth even discussing. The head sculpt that's actually on this Cody now, I think is very good. That said, I do think it's a little Joker looking maybe, a little bit almost like Jim Carrey, in fact, like that facial expression. It is a facial expression that Cody makes, but it's kind of a little too much maybe of it. Like maybe you guys gotta pull it back a little bit perhaps when you're sculpting this guy, but yeah, like I could totally repaint this as like a Joker version of Cody Rhodes and it would look fine. Or I can even just repaint it as Joker himself. If I just took this hair and made it green, put some white makeup and some red lipstick on him, and boom, I've got a Joker figure. But I still think it's heads and tails, well, terrible pun, but yeah, heads and tails above any other Cody heads that we've looked at so far, because there are, at this point now, 3 different Cody Rhodes' heads, and this one is definitely the superior version of it. Now let's talk a little bit about this shirt that Cody comes with. This is the shirt that he wore at that event. It is the Throne Breaker shirt. It's him destroying that Triple H looking chair. And the shirt itself, fabric is nice, but the decal itself, it's definitely one of those you don't want to wash too much. You can basically kind of feel the sticker there. Yeah, I can already actually, it's not peeling off, but I can definitely feel it. It's not the greatest, but there's really no other way they could have done that shirt. I mean, really, you look at this and you look at other people's shirts who are usually just like maybe silkscreen on because they have like 1 or 2 colors. This is a full-on multicolored image. For what it's worth, I don't think it's terrible. It's basically just like a vinyl decal that they put onto the shirt. They basically ironed it on. If you were buying a custom-made shirt for someone, it probably would have been the exact same thing. For me, it's okay. It's fine. I'm not going to have them really wear the shirt much anyway because I typically don't have my guys wear their fabric clothing because it'll eventually stain the figure. So for me, not really an issue, but just to give you guys an idea of how it looks, how it works, that's my thoughts on it. Otherwise, the image looks really great and really pops, just not really for me. Let's go ahead and get him out of this shirt. As I mentioned, we're going to do this really carefully so as to not tear anything because that's super important. And there you go. The shirt comes off really super easy. That's nice. So we get now a better look at his weightlifting belt also, which he's got on him, and there it is. This is the Won't Back Down weightlifting belt, and that looks pretty accurate. Like I said, I watched the match before I got here, and I have to say, all the elements of the outfit, they look fine to me. I mean, even down to his boots, which are, I thought this outfit, to be honest, is kind of a noisy-looking outfit, so I was a little worried they're going to miss some things, but no, I mean, for the most part, I think everything that needs to be here is here, so there you guys go. Beyond that, we already looked at a Cody Rhodes figure back when we did the Blood Bros 2-pack, and I don't really know what more I can say about it other than the fact that this one isn't covered in blood. But, I think the body looks good for what it is. I'm sure now that Cody's bulked up, they're going to make maybe a larger, musclier version of him at some point. But, I mean, yeah, body looks fine. The tattoo is accurate. He's also got the tattoo, by the way, on his finger there. You can see that right there. I think that's a really cool detail. I love that one a lot. His hand is taped up, which is accurate to how it would have been. And he has, by the way, 2 open hands here, which are great for holding stuff. Just good all-purpose hands. Back, we already saw, not really much to talk about there. Although you can kind of see what I was mentioning about some of the fabric being a problem. If you look at that shoulder right there, that's where the cutoff would have been for this t-shirt, and it's already started to stain a little bit here. So, again, that is my reminder to you guys. If you're keeping any wrestling figures with fabric, try to give them a cold wash first if you can, but be very gentle if you're going to do that. That should help release some of the excess dye, but otherwise, I would just suggest take your soft goods, put them in a Ziploc bag, and leave them somewhere the heck else so that they don't mess up your figures. So let's talk articulation, and that's always one of my favorite things about the AEW figures because I think they are really the best in terms of their movement. Cody has a ball-jointed head, he has ball-jointed shoulders, he's got the bicep swivel, he's got the double-jointed elbows, which are great, full wrist articulation, he's got the torso that has a wonderful amount of articulation also, as well as a waist that moves really great. Just such great maneuverability with these figures. I'm blown away by it every time I look at an AEW toy. Same with the range of motion for the legs. Look at that. Look at that great split. Great range of motion there. We've got the thigh cut. We've got double jointed knees. And we've got great ankle articulation too. So, when it comes to AEW figures, they're not skimping on articulation because they're almost comparable to an Ultimate Edition from Mattel. And really, I think the only thing that's missing would be the toe joint, which I could care less about. Just for the sake of comparison, too, I'm going to bring in some other figures to do some size comparisons. Here is my Kurt Angle figure that I love using so much. I don't know why, it's always here, so that's why I'm always pulling it out to use. I've also got a Jack Specific Classic Superstars Chris Jericho figure, just so you guys can see how these all look. And here's my Silver Centurion Iron Man, kicking that other Cody Rhodes head out of the way. Well, folks, that's what you call doing a job. So that's how a bunch of these different figures all look side by side. They're all on the 6-inch scale, so they all will scale up just fine. So let's just get rid of these guys here. Now, really, there's not much else to talk about with this Cody, because it's a Cody figure. It's kind of plain. The only real question here is how does it scale up with Darby Allin, because this is, after all, the figure that represents that match he had with Darby. And, yeah, I mean, you guys can see Darby's a completely different body mold. He's a little bit smaller. He's definitely much more skinny compared to Cody's muscle body. So I think these two guys look great side by side. And here they are. You can see the size difference as well. Looks like they're going to smooch, but no, that's the size difference. So, yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, as I alluded to at the start of this video here, Cody has had a lot of figures, and in fact, here is one of them now. This is Cody from the Blood Brothers Blood and Guts 2-pack, whatever it was called, the Ringside Collectibles exclusive version of him. That was one of my first AEW figures, besides the little bit of the bubbly Jericho. And yeah, as you guys can see, they're identical. Nothing has changed with Cody besides the paint job and the heads. And basically now you guys can see side by side all three of the Cody heads. We got Joker face, we got Dolph Lundgren face, and we got kind of mid-level general pain, I don't know, like mild tooth pain Cody Rhodes. I'm not really sure how to classify that one here. So here's the thing about Cody. He's already had now 5 different figures. We're talking about AEW Series 1 Cody. We have Blood Bros Cody. We have the version of Cody that came from the UK, which was exclusive to the AEW Ring version of Cody. We have this version of Cody that we're looking at right now, and the other version of Cody is the Ringside Collectibles exclusive TNT Champion version of Cody. So we're only up to AEW Series 5, and the law of averages would say that Cody's had 1 figure per wave. So which Cody is worth getting? Should you bother getting this version here? My answer would honestly be no. Should you get Blood Bros? Yes, but for different reasons. But to be honest, the Cody I like best, and if you're looking just to get one Cody, not to buy another Cody again for a while, it would be that TNT version of Cody, because it has all 3 heads. It's got a great looking outfit. Most importantly, it has that TNT Championship belt. And according to Jeremy Padawer, that's going to probably be the only way to get that championship belt in that strap color. And if you guys have not seen that interview that we did with Jeremy back during our Nerd News Today Toy Fair 2021 event, make sure you check out the YouTube description. We're going to have links for that. You're definitely going to want to watch that because it still has a lot of pertinent news about these figures. So in addition to the fact that it has 3 heads, it has the championship belt that's probably never going to be made again. It also has the Double or Nothing display stand. So it's a much better figure. And it's going to probably be the version of Cody to get for quite some time. Like I personally would have gotten it had I not ordered this one, and I don't really need to have more Codys in this. I don't want to have more Codys because I actually do have Series 1 Cody as well, because I'm getting that one signed hopefully one day. So yeah, for my money, this is all right, this is fine, but you can skip it. There's going to be a lot more Codys for sure, and there's already better versions out there that you can still get your hands on. So, and even looking at these two guys side by side, I totally prefer this bloody version because it's just got so much more personality too. That's such a cool looking figure. But yeah, AEW Series 5 Cody Rhodes, it is what it is, and there's not much to it. It's exactly what you see here. You're getting what you see. It's another Cody Rhodes. I'd say, honestly, just passing it for now, especially with the fact that AEW 2-packs are coming out later this year, too. You know he's going to be part of those very first waves of 2-packs, and it's going to probably be a good version of him, too. But if you like any of the AEW figures that you're looking at here, well, go ahead and check out Ringside Collectibles. Don't forget to check out GameStop, because they're starting to carry it. Target stores now have these in-store, and Big Bad Toy Store does not carry AEW just yet, but they do carry a lot of other wrestling figures, so make sure you check them out as well. We'll have links for BBTS in the description below. So that's our look at AEW Series 4 Cody. I don't really have any other way to end it besides maybe Le Champion. See you guys next time.